Welcome to the beginning of my Unity tutorial series. This series will focus on the very basics of Unity 2D and a few tips and tricks that will help you out along the way. Okay, so starting off this series, I think it's perfect to start within the Unity Hub and basically the process of making a brand new project. Throughout the rest of the tutorials, we're going to be using Unity 6. If you're using any earlier versions, it's not really going to affect what you'll learn throughout the series, because the UI and early on features are still basically the same. Okay, so with that being said, let's make a brand new project. Okay, so all you have to do is navigate over to New Project, and you'll be greeted with this screen. Now, a lot of people get confused on what the different render pipelines mean, and that's completely understandable starting off because you don't really know which one to choose and which one will best suit your project. So to help this, I'll give you a brief overview on what each render pipeline is. So first of all, Unity offers the built-in render pipeline. This will be the only one you'll have access to when you first try and make a project. You can install the others from this page by installing the packages from here. So if I wanted to install the high definition render pipeline, I would just click on this one and download the template. This will give you a fresh project with the render pipeline already installed. This saves you a lot of time. I already have the universal render pipeline installed, so I already have it here. Okay, but back to the built-in render pipeline. With this pipeline, you're not really going to get any sort of extra features. You won't be able to add any cool post-processing effects, no real volumetric lighting, no ray tracing, and you don't have access to the shader graph. Shaders are something you'll be working with later down the line. They're great for customizing how your game looks, and trust me, the shader graph is very useful when it comes to making them. And depending on what games you're going to be making, the built-in render pipeline isn't that bad sometimes. It's good for mobile and web games, and pretty much for most VR games as well. It all depends on how high quality graphics you want with your game. Okay, so moving on to the universal render pipeline. This is my personal favorite as it's a good balance in between the two. It's great for mobile games, console games, and even high-end PC games. You get access to the shader graph, which I mentioned earlier. You get access to some cool post-processing effects like motion blur, vignette, bloom, all these cool post-processing effects you can add to your game after it's complete. And even with the universal render pipeline, you still don't gain access to ray tracing and volumetric lighting. Obviously these are better for 3D games, but this tutorial series is all about 2D. And finally, when it comes to the high definition render pipeline, this is going to be for your high quality AAA titles that are sort of trying to rival Unreal Engine. You get access to ray tracing and all these fancy graphics, and it's great if you want to try and make a high quality looking game. And for some platforms like mobile, high definition render pipeline isn't suitable. Mobile won't be able to run the sort of games that you'll be making on this pipeline. But overall, if you're making like a mobile game or a console game or a PC game, especially if you're a solo developer, I would definitely recommend Universal Render Pipeline. It's a great balance in between the two. Okay, so let's make a brand new project in the Universal Render Pipeline. What you would have to do is find the Universal 2D. There should be a sample just like this one here, and you would just click download template, download that, and once it's done, you can then create a project here. But you'll be looking for Universal 2D. Make sure to change the editor version at the top of the screen to either Unity 6 or the version you're currently working on. I'm going to change mine to Unity 6 for now. You may have different packages installed for different versions of Unity. That's fine, you can just install them again here. So we can name the project whatever we like. I'm just going to name it Unity Basics Tutorials. You can save it wherever you like. I'm going to keep it on my E drive for now. And then I click Create Project. In the next episode, I'm going to be going over the UI basics and some basic folder structure.